Hello and welcome to Around the Clock. I'm your host, Yolanda Greaves. As you can see, we are outside, no more studio in back of me, no more bookcases. We are embracing summer because summer is just around the corner. On today's show, we have two interviews for you. The one with Julia Chase, who is the chair of the Ashland Farmers Market, who is getting ready to celebrate their 10th season. And our second interview is with Chief Vin Alfano, who is retiring from the Ashland Police Department on June 30th. We of course have our select board update for the meeting that happened on Wednesday, June 16th, and we have our Around the Town tour stopping at various locations in town, including the Farmers Market. So stay with us as I bring you Around the Clock. This was the grand opening of the Corner Spot on Saturday, June 5th. There was some great music and great food and such a great turnout. It was so nice to see the residents of Ashland out and about and enjoying the Corner Spot after such a tough year. Well, from the Corner Spot over on Cherry Street, we're going to take you over to the Farmers Market on Front Street. They had the first day, opening day of the Farmers Market on Saturday, June 12th. Starting at 9, going until 1, and it'll be there now every Saturday and through October. And now we're going forward to the next week for the celebration of the 10th anniversary of the Farmers Market. It was a great time. We had Senator Karen Spilka, our state senator and the Senate president, as well as our state rep Jack Lewis, and then Steve Mitchell, a select board member and also a founding member of the Ashland Farmers Market. Let's go take a listen.
My name is Steve Mitchell. I serve on the board of directors of the Ashland Farmers Market, and welcome today to our 10-year anniversary celebration here in beautiful downtown Ashland. As you can see, there's a lot of construction going on downtown, so I probably should preface it and say soon to be beautiful downtown Ashland. We started this market in 2011. Our official year of operation, but really the work started in 2010 when a group of volunteers got together and came up with our mission as an organization. And I'd like to read that mission briefly. The mission of the Ashland Farmers Market, which is part of the Ashland Healthy Harvest 501c3 nonprofit, is to provide a venue for local farmers and small businesses to sell their products, improve nutrition by providing greater access to fresh local produce, educate residents about nutrition and sustainable agriculture, and to build community while contributing to a vibrant town center in downtown Ashland. We trust the Farmers Market has been consistent in our mission and have, in fact, contributed to the vitality of our community. And with that, I'd like to introduce our organization's president, Julia Chase.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Steve. So welcome to our 10th season. As Steve mentioned, my name is Julia Chase, and I'm the chair of the board of directors for the Farmers Market. And as we all know, last season was a little different, so it's great to see everybody back here and see all of your faces and everybody at the market in full swing. So thank you to all of our loyal vendors, patrons, community members. We couldn't do this without all of you. So every season I take a minute to thank our community for their support, and I especially want to thank the Ashland Town Administration, Michael Herbert, the Select Board, the Ashland Police and Fire Departments, the Ashland Department of Public Works, our state reps Karen Spilka and Jack Lewis, and our 15 sponsors, including our platinum sponsor Needham Bank and our platinum sponsor United Home Experts, and we have a gold sponsor this year, Orifice Recycling. So 10 years would definitely not be possible without the tireless work of our wonderful volunteers, past and present. And I want to give much gratitude to David and Cynthia Whitty, Matt and Leah Marshquist, Paul Savard, Tom and Kate Hansen, Stan and Lois Bennett, Barbara Hescock, Julie Nardone, Caitlin O'Toole, Dale Buchanan, and Tom D'Alameda. I'd also like to thank our current board of directors, most of whom are here, Eric Brooks, Karen Leggett, Steve Mitchell, Rob Muhlenbeek, Valerie Paul, Florence Seidel, Jean Walker, and Kelly Bast. And much appreciation to our market manager last year and this year, Kate Baker, and our SNAP coordinator, Ana Santos. Finally, our market wouldn't run without the hard work of our countless teen volunteers. You can see them around the market every Saturday. And speaking of wonderful volunteers, we've asked before, and some of you had answered, but please consider getting involved. We have some board members moving off, some committee members moving out of town. Please visit our website. We have tasks, big and small, and we could use as much help as possible. So please visit our website.
Good morning. Good morning. Great to see all of you. First of all, I'd like to just wish everybody happy June 19th. Yes. Last year, the state legislature passed legislation recognizing Juneteenth, which commemorates the end of slavery in the U.S., finally, as a state holiday. And now, I'm happy to say, it's a federal holiday as well. So, happy Juneteenth coming here. So, as Steve mentioned, and Kate and Julia, about 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago, some wonderful Ashland folks got together to start this, not knowing what exactly was in store. This is a grassroots organization of a lot of grit and determination, but people willing to put the time in. This is what Ashland is about. It's people working together, putting, so much other things aside. Now we see the product, and what a fabulous, I have to say, I am an Ashland resident, I'm a little biased. I think this is the best farmers market, not only in Metro West, but the state.
Thank you. It is really great to see everyone in person. As Steve said, Karen and I try to be here as often as we can. And I'll admit, even though he reminded you that I don't live in Ashland, this is my farmer's market. This is where I come every week. And as Karen said, this isn't just the best farmer's market in Metro West, it's the best in the state. And for those of us who've had the chance to travel, we know that this market actually competes in many ways with what we would see in Europe as street fairs or street markets. But we don't need a passport. We can just grab our dogs, grab our family, come down and buy, Steve said healthy food, but we always leave with pastries. And I'm sure that's just me. But the only thing I really want to add to Karen's remarks is an additional thank you to our volunteers. There are farmers markets everywhere across the Commonwealth and around the world. But really what makes this farmers market unique is the number of volunteers who have stepped up and keep stepping up, keep showing up, and keep making sure that this market is successful so that we keep marking it on our calendars every Saturday during the warm weather of the year. So if I don't see you today, please grab me next time I'm here. Make sure you stop by and spend all your monies supporting these local businesses. I've already got my pastries, so don't worry about saving one for me. I'm good for today. But again, thank you so much, and thank you to all the volunteers.
Town Manager Michael Herbert.
Thanks, Steve. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Welcome to another successful farmers market year. Really looking forward to it. As Steve said, I just want to reiterate our thanks to our town departments, especially our Department of Public Works, also our health department, our police department. You would be amazed at how much teamwork it takes to put on a farmers market of this type of caliber. And that's including departments, volunteers, elected and appointed officials. It really does take a village to put on something of this magnitude. And it really is a special farmers market. One of the things that I think the last year through the pandemic, one of the bright spots, if you could actually call it a bright spot of the last year, is I think at least for me, it's helped me appreciate the things that I might have taken for granted in previous years. And certainly the farmers market is one of them. We did not have the ability last year to gather and celebrate community the way we are now and the way we had been. And that really was a loss for us. And I just can't tell you how much I missed it upon reflection and how much I know the rest of the community missed it. So I'm really looking forward to getting back into the swing of things, getting back to seeing everybody on Saturday, hearing everybody's complaints, especially with all the construction that's going on. Again, that's a positive, even though it doesn't feel like it right now. But again, everything you see in this town, everything that is happening is driven by community. And a lot of it, the nexus can be found right here at the farmers market. So I hope everybody takes an opportunity to appreciate that. And I can't thank everybody enough for putting this together. So thank you.
Thank you, Michael. This is probably a good time to segue into acknowledging Chief Vin Alfano, who is retiring at the end of this month. He and his department, the police department, the auxiliary police, they've been great supporters and advocates of the market. So we wish Chief Alfano the best wishes for his retirement, and we trust that the chief and his wife Christine will come back to visit us. That's great. So next on our, and actually last but not least, is the current chair of the Ashland Select Board, my longtime colleague and friend, Joe Mignani.
Thank you, Steve. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to echo a lot of the comments that have already been presented to all of you. I, for one, know about hard work and volunteering. For 35 years, we ran a little event called Ashland Day. And I know what it takes to put that on, so I can appreciate the hard work and the effort that all you do as volunteers to get this farmers market on the ground every week. We do it once a year. You guys do it every week, so I'm sure it's 10 times fold of the work and effort that you have to do, so thank you very much. It's a wonderful day. God has given us another great day to enjoy. And I would like Julia, if you would come up here for a moment, please. We have a proclamation that I would like to read, and it's for the farmers market. And this is, whereas the farmers market is celebrating its 10th anniversary and growing in popularity each year, and it is the envy of all markets in the area and in Massachusetts. And whereas the farmers market provides a venue of local and small businesses to sell their products, and whereas the farmers market has worked to create a space that is inviting and allows residents to socialize, shop, and be entertained, and whereas the farmers market provides more than just goods and entertainment, they also have a venue that allows community members a chance to speak with members of boards, committees, and staff alike, whatever's on their mind. And believe me, it's usually on their mind. And whereas the residents would like to thank the Ashland Farmers Market members and their volunteers throughout the years, both past and present, for all their devotion and hard work. Now therefore, we, the Select Board of the Town of Ashland, do hereby proclaim that Saturday, June 19th, 2021, as Ashland Farmers Market Day. We urge all residents to make known their appreciation for this devotion to our town of Ashland, and we wish them good health and good fortune for the future and many more years to come. It's signed by myself, Joe Mignani, on behalf of the Select Board. Julia, thank you. And thank you very much, folks.
Thank you, Joe. So we're just about done. I would like to encourage folks to visit the Corner Spot this afternoon between 12 and 2 to celebrate Juneteenth Day. They'll have some conversations, some refreshments, and you know, as you all know, the Corner Spot is just a great place to spend time. So I encourage folks to go down to the Corner Spot between noon and 2. This beautiful bandstand, and I know Dale Buchanan is around here somewhere, but this beautiful bandstand was built by Dale and donated to the farmers market, and we thank Dale for all of his support and generosity over the years. And he will also, the Dale Show will also be performing at the farmers market on July the 10th. So if you've never seen the Dale Show, it's a good take, and you'll enjoy it.
Another congratulations to the Ashland Farmers Market on 10 years and their 10th season. We look forward to another great summer of just celebrating and enjoying each other's company. From Front Street, we're going to go back to the corner spot for the Juneteenth celebration. Juneteenth is a new federal holiday, just enacted, just signed into law by the president, and it is a recognition of when the slaves in Texas back in 1865 heard the news about the Emancipation Proclamation. For some people, this is a holiday that they've been celebrating for a while, and it's now great that we are celebrating it as a nation and also here in Ashland.
So Ashland is United is present as an important ally for all African Americans who have fought in the civil rights movement, and we are here as an ally because it's a continuous process. It's more of a verb than a noun, and so we present ourselves as important allies in this movement.
Hi, we're Ashland is United. I'm Jane Greenstein.
And I'm Rajeshri Ghosh.
And we are here at the corner spot on Juneteenth, June 19th. We are here to celebrate Juneteenth, to celebrate being able to come out and meet with people in person. Ashland is United is a grassroots organization in town. We're here to help to create a culture of inclusivity and acceptance in Ashland.
Well, June has been a wonderful month. We are recognizing many, many important issues. But June 19th is for the first time that an organization like Ashland is United is organizing. For the first time, we are getting out in the open in the summer to recognize an important date. It's been made a federal holiday yesterday, but our planning has been on for about a year. We've been thinking of meaningful ways to get together, and this has been wonderful.
So we're here celebrating freedom from enslavement in our history for African Americans. We're here to let people know about our organization. If you want to learn more about Ashland is United, you could visit our website, ashlandisunited.org.
Well, that wraps up another Around the Town tour. Hopefully you were part of that in some of those events that we went to. If you ever have an event or a story you'd like to share with us as part of our Around the Town, please make sure you reach out to us at WACA-TV and Around the Clock. Thanks for watching this segment of Around the Town.
Coffee in the morning, a little wine at night. Get a meal in the middle somewhere and I guess I'll be alright. 'Cause I got my pride and I got a smile to greet the day. Got a friend or two to help me through.
Hello and welcome back to Around the Clock. I'm your host, Yolanda Greaves. We are here at the Ashland famous, Metro West famous Farmers Market with Julia Chase, the chair of the Ashland Farmers Market Board. Julia, welcome to Around the Clock.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Yeah. Do you want me to? Sorry. Do you want me to?
No, I got it. So 10th year anniversary, 10th year celebration. How did you get involved with the market?
So about 11 years ago, I was reading the Ashland Directions. We used to get a mailed paper every month, and there was a little notice in there asking for if anybody was involved in starting a farmer's market in town. And I had been to the Natick Farmer's Market for years. I had a young family and decided to just go and get some information. And when I went to the meeting, there was a few people that you've seen today. We had Steve Mitchell was there, and Rob Muhlenbeek, and Florence Seidel, and some of the founding members, the Marshquists were there, and it was just really like a grassroots, let's get this started. Do you think people will come? How can we compete with existing farmers markets? And then we kind of just took off from there and started soliciting vendors and sponsors, and it formed into this like community-wide, essentially small business incubator every Saturday. So it's been great.
So 10 years now, what we see today, what was the first couple of years like? Was it similar? Was it a little bit different?
So I will say the energy was definitely the same. One of our missions was to have a community event, not just a place where you go and pick up your produce for the week and go home. We wanted it to be a community gathering space with music, events, kids' corner. So all of those elements have been in our mission since day one. What you will see today that's different from years ago, the first 2 years, we have more vendors. So where we started with about 20 vendors every week, some weeks will have upwards of 30. And another great part of what's happened is that we find vendors come to us now asking to be part of our market. Just other vendors will share what a good experience they've had. So we have to do less with the marketing now because we have so many people that already know what a great space this is. So it's been great. We grow every year.
You also support community. I remember there was a number of years the select board were here, and then you branched it out. We worked to do community committees and everything like that. That has changed a little bit.
Yeah, so we still do. Last year with COVID, we took the market down to bare bones, but now we're back to having a community tent. So every Saturday, a community organization can apply to have a tent for free, so they can come and share with the community members what's going on with their organization. Another thing that has really grown and changed over the years is our SNAP match. So one of our missions is to help get food to underserved communities. So members of our community and surrounding communities can use their SNAP benefit card. They come to the market and we match up to what used to be $20, now is $25. So we have one of the highest matches in the community, and that really assists people, especially during COVID times and food insecurity times.
And how do you match that SNAP? So how does that get done?
A portion of our budget goes to that every year. So what vendors pay, what sponsors pay, and then there's also the Metro West Foundation gave us a grant. So we have an amazing grant from them that allows us to match 25.
So it's the second day of the 10th anniversary, but with an organization like yours, I know you guys are already thinking what can be different, what can change. What might people see differently toward the end of this season or into next season?
So we definitely want to, we need to keep an eye on, COVID and how people are comfortable gathering. We do want to have more events. We also want to potentially bring back some kids' activities. That may have to wait till next year, depending on what the climate is like. But basically, we just still want to continue with the musical acts and with our community groups. We want to make this just a fun gathering space. It was so wonderful to see everybody, come out and smile at each other and talk to neighbors they hadn't seen in 13 months. So we want to keep that going.
Good. Well, Julia, congratulations on 10 years. Thank you so much for what you do. As was said in the senator's speech, she talked about how Ashland is really volunteerism, and I think our farmers market is a true example of that.
Definitely. Thank you to all of our volunteers. We could not do this without the tireless work behind the scenes and on the ground floor. So thank you to all of our volunteers.
Well, Julia, thank you so much for talking to us. Congratulations on 10 years of the Ashland Farmers Market. That's going to wrap it up here at the market, and thanks for watching Around the Clock. And welcome to Around the Clock's Select Board update for the meeting that happened on Wednesday, June 16th. We had a full hour of scheduled appointments starting at 7 o'clock. Our first appointment at 7:05 was the announcement of the acting chief. He will be Chief Briggs, with Chief Alfano retiring as of June 30th. Chief Briggs will be taking over as an acting chief until we determine the process for hiring a new chief. From there, we had a discussion and an appointment with the Corner Spot for decanted wine. This is a very fancy camper that has been redone, and they're going to be coming to the Corner Spot on two dates to offer wine and some beer for the event that's happening. One is Culture Fest and one is a women's shopping event. So make sure you check out the Corner Spot calendar for both of those events. And we did approve the one-day licenses for those dates. From there, we went to a discussion with Ashland Ale House. They are looking to do a permanent patio and permanent outdoor seating. Even though the governor has signed a bill for temporary outdoor seating for restaurants, this is now looking to do a permanent location for Ashland Ale House, similar to what we did with TJ's at our last meeting. From there, we went to a discussion with Boston VIP Limo Service. They are an Ashland business. They had a location outside of Ashland prior to the pandemic, Unfortunately, with the pandemic, they went out of business. They're now restarting their limo service, and that will be based at Metropolitan Ave with one limo. And then their hope is to build and then move it back out of town. And we approved their license as well. From there, we had an Eversource poll hearing for Douglas Street. This is off of 126. It's over by 12 Pond Street. There is a conduit that Eversource needs to put in the ground to help send power to the 12 Pond Street location. So after some discussion with Eversource, we approved that as well. From there, we went into our consent agenda. We had a couple of appointments. We had a couple of minutes that were available. If you watch the full select board meeting, you can read the full list of items on the consent agenda in the screen because it was posted online on the Zoom meeting. So catch it either on the cable or via YouTube. From there, we went into old and new business. The first thing we did was to vote to award and execute some bond documents. As you know, we have two major projects that are moving forward, both the Public Safety Building and the Mendez Building, and we are bonding the money for both of those. One is a bond and one is a bond anticipated. So both of those got passed, and then our clerk, Rob Scheer, got to read a very lengthy document to be able to allow us to do that, and he did a great job. From there, we discussed two things related to COVID reopening as to when we're going to have meetings, whether we're staying in person or staying on Zoom. And then we also started a discussion about remote participation. So these are two different things. The first is participation under the current legislation that allows us to continue going remote and doing hybrid, or we're looking to do hybrid. And then the second discussion was remote participation so that when we get out of the emergency orders and the legislation that was just passed, the ability for, if you have a select board or other committee member who is traveling, they can participate remotely in that meeting. And that final vote will be happening at our next meeting. From there, we discussed the naming of the roundabout. So Route 126 project is moving forward, and Ed Bates has been working on this project for probably 30 years. Even though we haven't seen movement or in different ways. So we voted at our select board meeting, once the roundabout is built, and we will have some kind of formal ceremony when that happens, it will be known as the Ed Bates Roundabout. Thank you, Ed, for all the work that you've done for our community and for that Route 126 project. From there, we announced a vacancy on the Board of Health and on the Conservation Commission. KG Nariana, who was on both of those, has moved out of town, and as happens, if you move out of town, you can no longer be an elected official or appointed to one of our committees. So we have announced that opening. We will be doing a joint meeting with the Board of Health for the Board of Health position. And because the Select Board appoints the Conservation Commission, we are looking for people to apply, talk to the Conservation Commission, and we are hoping to have a recommendation back from them also for the June 30th meeting. From there, we talked about an open meeting law complaint. At our last meeting, we discussed an open meeting law complaint for some minutes, from executive minutes from back to 2013. We had not been able to require them. We've now responded to that open meeting law complaint. We've found most of the meetings and we're still working on it, and we voted to approve, and we have now sent that response to the state, and most of the minutes that we voted on at our last meeting have now been sent to the person who filed that. From there, we discussed a potential development webinar. Brandy Kinsman, one of our members, has talked about and is going to start developing an online webinar where people and where residents can find out what's going on with development, what our process is. She's going to start working on that, and she'll present more when we come back to our next meeting. From there, we had our priority project updates downtown. If you've been in downtown, you know that things are moving forward. There's construction going on. There is utility work going on. Unfortunately, it will be going on for a little while. It's one of those projects that we have to work with the issues. We have heard some complaints about traffic, and I know our staff and our police department are working on trying to improve some of that as some of this construction happens. So if you have issues or concerns, please reach out to the town manager's office or to the public works department to see and maybe we can fix something. It's always important to get that feedback. Rail Transit District, not a lot going on there right now. UGC is in front of the planning board trying to get their final meetings and permits. We're hoping for that to be updated soon so that they can start construction. Public Safety Building and Mendez. Again, if you've driven by the Public Safety Building location on Union, right there going up to the high school, they are moving forward. There's concrete in the ground for footings, and they are working diligently. And when we spoke to the chief, we found out that it's going to be about a 12-month process. So very possibly next year around this time, we'll be having a ribbon cutting for a new public safety building. From there, we talked about the Route 126 project that is moving forward. They are doing some sewage work on the south side from Spyglass Hill down to Holliston. So be on the lookout for barrels and police and a little bit of traffic. But again, the project is moving forward. We're working with the state, and we're still trying to get a more detailed schedule. Unfortunately, we've been not had the ability to do that. From there, we moved into our town manager report. We had 3 items. There's been a discussion about a tourism destination marketing district. This is driven by the hotels. We've been given an approach. We've been approached by Framingham State with their hotel there about trying to do this. So we're going to get more information and work with the Framingham State and other hotels, not only in Ashland, but in the area to see about doing this district. What it would do is it would allow us to get some extra revenue to support tourism. We had a town meeting review. Town meeting happened on Saturday, June 12th, sorry, not January. It started at 10. We had 10 articles. We went through pretty quickly. There was some good discussion about the last 3 articles, which were zoning articles. A big thank you to everyone that came out. If you have questions and want to watch the full meeting, again, you can go to WACA. Either it's being replayed on the channel, or you can go and catch it on either our Vimeo or YouTube, and you can see all the discussion that happened. And the last thing we had was we were told about a new initiative that Framingham State is planning on doing at the Warren Conference Center. They are planning on creating and offering a university community club, where you would pay an annual membership and it would give you access to the amenities at the Warren Conference Center, and there'll be more coming out about that. We had our board reports, and we wrapped up just after 10 p.m. So another good night. Again, the next meeting will be Wednesday, June 30th, because we won't be having a meeting on July 7th. Thanks for watching the Select Board Update. Hello and welcome back to Around the Clock. We are in the garage of the current Ashland Police Station, and we are here with Chief Alfano. Chief, welcome back to Around the Clock.
Thank you very much.
Now, this is a little bit of a bittersweet interview for us today because we're talking about your retirement from the Ashland Police Department.
That is correct. June 30th.
June 30th, so that's going to be here before we know it. Mm-hmm. You've been with the Ashland Police Department 2.5 years now?
Yes.
And how long were you interim before Michael Herbert made you permanent?
About 3 months.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you think you'd be staying here this long when you took on that interim position?
No, I didn't, because it was presented to me as just basically to hold the fort until they hire a permanent chief. But in about 3 months, I kind of fell in love with everybody here and fell in love with the town. And unfortunately, I guess the town liked me. So
I was going to say, I think the residents fell in love with you as well. I remember that first summer you'd show up at the farmers market and at all the events, and of course that was pre-pandemic. So
yes.
So 2.5 years, high points and low points. What's been the toughest thing for you in these 2.5 years?
I think probably the toughest thing was the pandemic for all of us.
Yeah.
Because we had to carry on business as usual. The police department could not work from home.
Right.
And we have shifts that we have to staff. We have a certain minimum of officers and staff that we needed every shift to provide law enforcement services and emergency coverage. And we don't have a lot of staff. So if we had a lot of people out sick, that would really affect our operations. So we had to put right from the very beginning a lot of precautions in place to keep us safe and to keep everyone else safe.
Did you have any issues with COVID that any officers got it?
Very few, minimal, which is almost a miracle because the officers are out all day going to calls with people who had COVID and were exposed to people all the time, sometimes very closely, and it was difficult, but they did it. And I really praise the staff because they came in every day, every single day, and it was tough because when they're in here and they're dealing with exposure to COVID, they have to go home to their families,
right?
And there's a risk of transmitting that to their families. So
we are certainly fortunate to have such a great police department. COVID was, of course, one of the down points. What was the high point of the 2.5 years here?
The high point, meeting the staff, working with them every day and seeing them in action. Every day I'm astounded at the work that the police staff, and I'm including everybody in that, and I'll also include the auxiliary police staff in that as well. What they do every day is nothing short of amazing. Unless it's on the news or on TV or in the newspaper, you really don't see the things that they do every day. And a lot of the things are not, very high profile things, but just the small things add up, the day to day.
Now, we've had an increase in our police force. So when you started, how many officers did we have?
Actually, we're short 3 right now because of officers going to other agencies or retirements. So we're actually in the process with civil service to hire 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because I remember we gained a bunch, but I guess we hear about the people coming on. We don't always necessarily hear about the people that are leaving. So.
Right. We had one officer take a job as a federal agent.
Yep.
We had another officer retire. Actually, 2 officers retired. So.
Wow. So you're retiring.
Yes.
What is retirement going to look like for you? Because it's different for everybody.
Yes. A very full schedule retirement will look like for me. Because when I first started, when I came on board as interim chief, prior to that, we had bought an old farm, and we were renovating it, and it needed a lot of renovation, and getting all the permits. We basically rejuvenated the old farm. It had been a farm for 100 years, and then when I accepted the position here, everything kind of stopped or went on. Basically, just working on it, a day here, a day there.
So you have a list of things that you're going to be starting on.
A list of things, yes.
On July 1st.
Yeah, oh boy, the list is already there.
Well, Chief, the other thing that you've helped with is getting the public safety building permitted and planned, and of course we all know, we've seen the work, the shovel in the ground. How does that make you feel, being able to help get that finally passed and moving here in town?
That, when I accepted the position, I had 2 goals. One goal was to improve the morale and the working condition for the officers as immediately as I could.
Yep.
And the second goal was to take the experience that I had already with public safety buildings and do whatever I could to assist the town so that they could get the officers out of this facility. This facility, not only is it outdated, it's dangerous. And it's every day there's a safety risk when the officers are working in this building. And we're very fortunate the town and the town government supported both the fire department and the police. And we're really 2 unified departments, the fire department and police. We work together daily. Many of the officers, they're friendly together. We go to the same calls. We really rely on each other. And the fact that they're basically going to be home in a building together it's so good for efficiency for both departments. It's so good for morale and safety.
Good. Well, Chief, thank you so much for talking to us. Thank you for your time here in Ashland and being on Around the Clock the number of times that you have. I wish you well in retirement. I know there's a celebration coming up at some point, so I look forward to getting to give you some more congratulations at that.
Well, thank you. I remember when I first started, one of my first official acts was your show.
Was coming on Around the Clock.
So we're
coming full circle.
That's
we had you when you started, and now as you are exiting and heading back to retirement.
Right.
Well, Chief, thank you so much for coming on Around the Clock.
Well, thank you.
And we'll be back with more.